We have Kamaro on this call, and is an author of AshPhoenix with over 15 years of experience, and is a dedicated Elixir developer. He is also a member of the Elixir Kenya community, and today we'll be talking about AshPhoenix and other aspects. So at this point in time, I would like Kamaro to introduce himself, then from there he would kickstart. Thank you all for joining today's call.
Alright, thank you for the introduction. I can hear an echo from, I think from you. Please confirm if I'm audible.
Oh, I think the echo might be from my mic. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm muted now, so you can proceed.
Okay, great. It's a pleasure to be here on the call. Allow me to share the presentation straight away, if you don't mind, and then we can dive in. That's where, in the presentation, I'll also introduce myself. Is that okay?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Right. Okay, please confirm if you are able to see my screen.
It's up now. We can see it. I don't know if I'm the only one that can see it, but I think everyone should be able to see it. Please signify if you can see it. So
okay.
I can't see anything. I just can see it, but you can't see it. I can't see anything.
Wait, you can't see anything from
Okay, sorry for that.
Okay. Can you see his screen now? There's somewhere showed watch or stream on the call, so maybe you should just click on the stream side. You'll be able to see the screen.
Okay, should I proceed?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I want to talk about the Ash framework and how it fits with Phoenix. And I will start with introduction. We will have an overview of what Ash framework is and how it complements the Phoenix framework. Then we will spend most of our talk today in the live coding. So if something breaks, I hope you'll understand me, and then we'll have a session for Q&A. So who am I? My name is Kamaro Lambert. I'm originally from Rwanda, Kigali, but I've been in Kenya for the last, I think, 6 to 7 years. So I'm a husband and a father to 4 children. I've been in software engineering for more than 18 years. I started back in the days when we're doing Turbo Pascal, then C, C++. The .NET framework became popular, and I started writing open source code using PHP back in the days when we were using CodeIgniter. I think it was version 1 or so. Then Laravel came in, and Composer and the rest. I've also shipped products with Python and with Django, to be specific, and Django REST framework, and Flask. For Java, I'm still doing a bit of Java where I work, and now I'm so obsessed with Elixir for the past 4 to 5 years. But in overall, my current day-to-day work is more of managing the teams of developers. I also write codes, but also I do a bit of management from operations and the leadership point of view. So the industries I've worked in is telecommunication, all the things, GSM, telecom, IN, HRR, all the things backend, telecommunication. I worked also for an e-commerce This e-commerce I was using WordPress with WooCommerce, but later on we upgraded it to Business Central. Then I worked in the film tech industry. This is technology specific for women. I worked also in logistics. The logistics I worked in, you can think of it like Uber for trucks. Then healthcare, to be specific here, I worked in healthcare as a chief operations officer, but also I built some systems there. And this was in the section of ophthalmic healthcare. People specialized for eye care. Then there was fintech for mobile financing services. This was more of like an aggregation. And at the moment, what I do, I work on the core banking systems. So these are T24, Finacle, integration, GL issues, and the rest. So I've been writing a lot about Ash framework for Phoenix because once I discovered Ash framework, it helped me to really do a lot of work faster and be able to deploy applications with fewer resources than I was using before. So I got obsessed with it. I started writing about it all over on Medium and on other platforms, and then the writings I've been doing on Ash framework, I converted them into this book called Ash Framework for Phoenix Developers. You might find it, you can find it on Lambert. Alright, so what is Ash? So the way I like to define Ash, it is more of it is declarative. If you go on the website of Ash, the official website, that's what you are going to find. And what it means is you configure different files, and then Ash becomes like an engine that reads those files, and then it is able to translate them into an application which you can run. I'll be showing you some examples. When we talk about resources, actions, APIs, form, and the rest, they are form of configurations in a sense, and they look like the like XML, YAML. If you've ever configured your GitHub actions, those kind of declarations that you do. You say, for example, when there is a pull request on the specific branch, then spawn this server, install this application, run this test, and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how I see Ash, and it has also a side which gives you flexibility to write code, add conditions, however you want. But in a nutshell, when we are talking about declarative, we are talking about describing how you want your application to work in form of like configuration, and then leave the rest to the framework. And to me, this seems to be the advantage for the benefits of Ash framework that gives developers the benefits of moving fast and changing things faster. Then where does Ash sit? So Ash is not a web framework. It is not an API in itself or a web framework in itself. You can use Ash in all kind of applications. It sits at the level of business logic, business rules. So it's something that will sit where in your Phoenix application you'll put your domain. So it is somewhere in between, and it handles your business logic, and it helps you to centralize how your application works. So for example, the business rules will not be changing, but you need to have let's say a mobile app talking to application. You need to have a web app talking to your application. You might need another APIs, webhooks integrated with your application, but the central rules, they won't change. If you validate your phone number, for example, using if you require that your phone numbers will have to have plus, let's say 233 or 254, then the MSISDN, the rest of the phone number. Those things you can centralize them at the core of the application, so you don't have to to define the same thing in multiple different applications. So Ash comes with the policies for authorization. You can authorize up to even a column where you say that for somebody to be able to edit or read this specific column, they have to have this permission. It has calculations. This is more of what we'll call in a typical database, in a typical database, calculated field or calculated fields. It gives you relationships, state machine, authentication. You can build your own extensions, etc. But today we're going to cover just the basics. So what is the core idea? So in Ash, you're going to define the resource. The resources are the center of everything in Ash. Almost everything, not everything, but almost everything. Let's say 98% of the things you'll be doing in Ash, they will be around a resource. And a resource is just a model for your table, your database table. And you can do something to your table. You can create, which is insert, you can read, you can update, you can delete, you can add a relationship to the records in that table, you link them to another record, etc. So a resource is something like user, a post, an order, a product, a category, a comment. That will be a resource. Then there are things that you can do to a resource. So those things, we call them actions. You can create a resource, you can insert related records in that resource or in another resource. You can do validation on that resource. You can say, for example, before creating, inserting a new record, these are validations that have to happen. It can be validations that require us to read the database or read an API or do something else. Alright? And Ash comes with 4 basic types of actions: they create, read, update, and destroy, which are the typical CRUD methods. But it allows you as well to define custom actions, some generic actions. Let's say you can have an action to read an API. You can have an action to run a background job with the urban etc. So now, how is Phoenix or Ash different from Phoenix? So Phoenix has the routing, HTTP, live view, channel, forms, rendering, controllers, view, presence, just the typical web framework we know. Now Ash comes at the level of the business rules. It has resources and actions. You define business rules, policies, or validation, authorization, authentication. It allows you to connect to different database layers. There's Postgres, SQL Server. You can use a flat file. I think as of now in the Ash 3.4, we haven't finalized working on the MySQL aspect of Ash. There is already a repository, only that the work isn't yet completed. So you can see that Ash comes to be at the heart, at the center of your application, and then Phoenix is now the typical web framework for you. If you come from the background like Laravel, you can see Ash as let's say supercharged eloquent. So there is that aspect as well, but think of it as a layer for your business rules, but now it allows you to plug. It has plugins that allows you to work with existing ecosystems. So is there any question?
Sorry, there is no question.
Okay.
I think the person just forgot to mute their mic, but there is no question.
Right. So Ash comes, for example, with AshPhoenix.form. We're going to use this in a moment. It allows you to quickly build forms, do nested forms, all manner of complicated form-related, let's say, coding. It has live view helpers. It allows you to publish events directly from resources to your Pubsub. And it has code interfaces that works with controllers, live view, and a lot. So in a nutshell, you configure a file and then Ash gets to generate for you functions, or it adds functions for you that you are going to use to build your application faster. But all of those are going to come from the heart of your application. That's where Ash sits. Now allow me to share the screen on the official website of Ash Framework. So if you come here, you're going to see more like what Ash does and more things than what.
Can you expand your screen a bit? It's looking very tiny to read.
Okay, let me zoom in. Please confirm.
Yeah, it's better now.
Is this better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so if you come to Ash website, you're going to find so many other things you can do with Ash, and you're going to see this is a great book written by Zach, the author of the creator of Ash Framework, and all of these extensions that you can actually use. For example, if you're working in a financial institution, Ash has this double entry. It has Ash double entry. I use this a lot. It helps you to create a ledger with and be able to do your double entry operations without having to implement from scratch. It has Ash Paper Trail. This tracks the changes that has been happening on your record, edits, and the rest. And you can also see who has done what change when. So it has a lot of things which you can do. And then there are more extensions. It has Ash AI. This allows you to convert your actions on your resource into the AI tools. So you can actually plug into like ChatGPT or Grok, or if you AI you're using, and you will give it the context directly from your application. So you can chat with your application and ask questions and do a lot. So this Ash Urban, it allows you to plug in Urban, the background job for Elixir community, and you can orchestrate those jobs that are taking time. Or let's say if you need to be doing some periodical jobs or background activities, you can do this. This one generates for you the admin. It is like Django admin for those who are coming from Python. We have Reactor. This is for workflow and Saga. This is now something very close to state machine. Assume you have let's say you need to do some business rules that requires you to call 5 APIs which are sitting on 5 different services from 5 different vendors, but you have to make sure either all of them pass or all of them fail. So this is where now you do this kind of state machine and workflows where you can combine all of them together and you do rollback. For those who are working with Vue.js and React, this one allows you to expose the actions directly to the front end, so you can use your front end engine or framework to make your UI more dynamic and user friendly. So there's a lot. This usage rule, this is for plugging into a coding agent like CRUD or any other coding agent you are using. It helps you generate the rules for your application, and it gives the AI more context. So there is a lot, and I would want to move now next to now the live coding. What we are going to do, we are going to attempt and create something simple just to give us an idea of how Ash works. We want to create a product catalog. We're going to create a resource for product and categories. Then we will see how the form works in Ash. And then we release this using Cinder. Cinder is an Ash package that allows you to just tabulate your resource and add filters, sort, pagination, and the rest. And then after this, maybe we can open up for question, and that will be it. So, if we have time, I was going to propose that we start from scratch. Like I go to the command line. So I was sharing the wrong presentation, so the wrong tab. I hope we are back. Everyone now can see my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can. I can.
Okay, great. So I was going to suggest something that we start from scratch. Literally start from scratch. We install Ash. We install as well Phoenix, and then do a form and just start from scratch. And the idea here, we're going to create a product, a form in which you can create a product, edit, delete that product, and if the time allows us, we can add calculations and a few other things. Okay, just to give you a test and help you get started if you are new to the Ash framework. So quick
question. The project you want to do now, is it available on your repo? Is there a link for us to access it? Probably for personal study.
No, I can push it to the link. I had created it, but I decided I think it's best if we start from scratch, so you can see everything. Then the code, I will move them to GitHub at the end.
Alright, thank you very much. Yes, that works. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So allow me to now share my entire screen. Let me see, what do I have here? Okay, I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to share my entire screen once more. Alright. So confirm if you are able to see my entire screen. I think you can see my entire screen.
Yes.
So I'm going to remove to just.
Sorry, can you zoom it a bit more? Your entire screen is smaller.
Let me see. How do I? Let me see.
I think you can just press control with plus. Control Shift and plus. Yeah, it's better.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So if you are getting started, I propose to come to a framework. You click here install now. Then Ash is going to give you different options depending on what you want. So if you want to use the front end as React, but for me, I'm going to go the traditional way of Ash and also Cinder. I'm sorry, I can hear echoes from somebody. If you don't mind your family, I think that's from me. Then are you able to me? Okay, so you come here and you put in your project name. You will normally do this manually, but for now, it's just something they have done to make it easier for you. So here I'm using this name, Eliza Nigeria Community Talk. I could even just use this, by the way, ENC, yeah. And then it generate for you this code to get started. So there are things I don't need. If you come and select here, they ask you, do you want to add authentication, admin, like debugger? So I don't want this. I just want probably only this one. And you can add all these other options, the authentication and the rest, AI, etc. So let me copy this code. Then I come to my machine and I paste them. You can see it is installing, it has installed Igniter, this version, and then it is installing Phoenix, and then after this it is going to now install Ash. This is the typical mixed command you would run on your typical Elix application. I'm sorry, I don't know why this is taking long. Let us give it some time. Okay. But you can see what the code has done is just to run our normal Phoenix command. Like it has downloaded Phoenix archive and it is set it up. Wow. And then
I have a quick question.
Yes?
Yeah, sorry for interjecting. So you made mention,
Please go.
you made mention of resources, domain, and action. I just want to add, when you define your actions, where is the best place to put it? Is it the domain or the resources?
Okay, great. So the best place it's in a resource, because an action is done, you do something to a resource. So in Ash framework, we do it to a resource. I'm going to show you on how to do it, and I give you a
Yes, I'm recording it. Oh, I think he went muted. Can anyone hear me? I don't know if it's my side. Hello? Is it my side or did Kamaro go muted? I can't hear him again from my end. Let me just send him a message. Okay. Hi, is he back now? Okay, I'm just going to send him a personal message to know what's going on from his end. Okay. So I have sent him a message that we're unable to hear him. I think he's trying to join back. Code.I. Hi, Kamaro.
Yeah, let me see. How do I zoom in here?
Okay, we're able to hear you now. For a while, we couldn't hear anything from your end.
I think for this one, I will zoom in when I start writing code. Where dependencies are installed. Alright, so you can see this is a typical your Phoenix application, right? Please confirm if you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, Yeah, we're able to see your screen and hear you now. Before we were not able to hear you. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I hope this is better.
Hi.
So now,
I don't know if you can hear us.
if you go to mix, you're going to find that what the command we've installed did. It has added AshPostgres and AshPhoenix. All these are Ash extensions that allows us to work with the Postgres. This allows us to work with AshPhoenix. Then we have Ash Igniter. I think this is known to most all of us, if not most. It is the command line tool for Elixir. It was built by the creator of Ash framework. And then what else has it added? Nothing for now, nothing extra apart from your typical Phoenix application. So what I want you to know is that in Ash we have domains and resource, and a resource belongs to a domain. So we're going to find here in config in Ash. You're going to find a configuration here called domain. Should be here, domain. I think it's still installing. Let's see how far it is. The installation is still going on. See and change compilation. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you can see now the Ash has already added its configuration automatically from the command we just added. Okay. So from here we should have domains. Ash domain. Just a moment, just give me a moment. It's still installing. It is not this one. Should have another configuration for domain. Alright. Okay, good. So before we even start configuration for domain, allow me to configure the database. So here we have, this is your typical Phoenix database configuration, and I need just to put the password for my local development. That's it. And then here I will just change directory into enc. Then I'm going to run setup Ash with this command. So you can see it has added certain functions that are required by Ash, and you can see we are using PostgreSQL. From here, let's create our first domain, then we'll create our resource, just to see how that works. So it is good. I'm going to put the domain into my application folder. In this case, our application is called ENC. So I like to, by convention, you have to name your domains in the plural. For example, now that we are working on products, let's say product catalog, we can say product catalogs. I think we can use catalog for now. And then this is a module which is going to use Ash domain. So this is what you need to create your domain. The domain, you can think of it as a group of related resources. So for example, if you would have installed the authentication, you could have seen another domain here for accounts that deals with the user, tokens, and the rest. So now, how will Ash know that we have this new domain? So we have now to configure this in configuration. Okay. Just a moment. I need to borrow the configuration from another app. Just a moment. This is what I was hoping for. Yeah, so let me just leave it there. So you can see here we can add this configuration for Ash, which is going to be now the domain, and the domain we just created is called ENC, application name, then product catalog. So basically what we did is just we took this, and when Ash is booting this application, it normally come and read all available domains, and then it knows resources and everything is under that domain. Now allow me to spawn to start this application. I think this is to, let me do it from here. You can see starting it like any other Phoenix application. It has started, and if I come to my, if I come here, so allow me to zoom out. You can see this is a typical Phoenix application, so which means everything is running as expected. So now we've added this product, this domain. We need to add a resource. Now the resource we're going to add, it's going to be called product. And by convention, it's better to create a folder after, which is named as with the same name as your domain, because everything under this domain will be hosted in that folder. So in this case, we are going to create product catalog as a folder, under which we are going to add product.txe. So this product is our resource. So it's a module which is going to use Ash resource. So we are telling the system that this is an Ash resource, and this is under a domain called ENC product catalog, and the data layer it will use is going to be Ash Postgres. I think data layer, and then from here what we need to do is now define the Postgres section. And now you're going to see these are configuration I'm doing. So I'm going to say Postgres, the table we'll be using is called products, the repo we'll be using is ENC repo. This is our typical application repository. Yeah. So this one here, this is the repo we are just telling Ash to use. Okay, so that's it. Now from here we need to describe the attributes. These are the columns for this table. We're going to say the attributes, and we're going to use here the primary key as version 7 of UUID. Primary key, then I say it's ID, but you can use auto increment, you can use integer, you can use also UUID, which is not version 7. It's only that I prefer version 7. You can use whatever is provided by the framework. Then the rest we define the attribute. This is how we write it. You can see it's a configuration. Then I say this attribute, also it's going to be product name, it will be a string, and then you can add description, you can say the name of the product. So all these things you are doing, you can inspect them, you can be able to call the description for this attribute anywhere in the application. Maybe in the future sessions I will show you how to introspect and be able to have access to these attributes and the other data in Ash framework. So let's say, are we going to allow new value? You can say false, and then default, we don't need here a default. So next attribute, let's say it's going to be quantity, it will be decimal, and then the description for this, let's say if somebody wants to see the definition of this in the API, you can say the quantity or the stock level for this application, for this item, and then default can be 0, and we can say alone can be false as well. Then finally another one, we say this is going to be price, decimal, do description, the unit price for this product, and then allow need, no, false, say default price will be 1, and then we can add timestamps. That's it. So these timestamps you can change it, but it adds for you, updated that and inserted that, so it allows you to do that. So now that we've created the columns, at this level you can run migrations. So how do you do it? So you tell AshFramework, do a mix Ash, because we are using now Postgres as the database. Tell Ash, generate migrations for me, and call this migration add products. Let's add products table. You can even say create product table. So Ash is supposed to go and generate. Okay, good. Yeah. So this error we are seeing here, it's because we haven't told the product catalog that among its resources, you see it's also a configuration. This resource belongs to this product catalog. Okay. So allow me to generate again. I think this time it should work. You can see it has generated migrations for you and a snapshot. So in migration, you're going to see it's just the typical Ecto migration for you. Alright? So now that we have migration, you can go ahead and do Ash Postgres migrate. You can also migrate using the Ecto migration, and if you are using multi-tenancy, you'll just pass the flag tenant. But today we won't cover multi-tenancy aspect. We're just going to run the typical migration. So that's it. We have our migrations, we have our table created in the database, we have the resource ready. Now, what's next from here? Now we need to add things that can be done to this resource. Now that's what we call actions. See, another configuration for actions. You say default accept. So here what we are defining is what are the columns will accept any action here for create and update to receive in terms of parameters. So here we are saying we'll be receiving name, quantity, and also price. And we can say default action, there will be create, read, update, and destroy. And that's it. So now with this one, our resource is ready to be used. Let's take an example. So if I go to the command line and I have parameters, for example, which I'll call name, can say item 1, let's say soda, quantity is 1, and the price is going to be, let's say 100, just an example. And then we want to create this in the database. We do ash create, and if you add a bank sign, this what it will do is, if something goes wrong, it will fail, but we don't need it now. We want to return a tuple, an okay tuple. So from here we're going to say we add the resource we want to use. Then the resource, our resource is ENC, it is in product catalog, and it's called product. Product. So I need to check the sugar resource. And then I pass parameters. Just a moment. that says it requires default create. It should be working. I don't need to recompile. Yeah, it wasn't recompiled. So if I do this, it should work. You can see I've already created a product in the database, and if you go to the database, you are going to see this data. So I wanted to show you that we are done with the create, read, update, and the rest. So now let us do this from now, the web interface, so you can add a form to lists to do other things like a normal user will be using the application. So the first thing we're going to do is to go to our routes. I don't know why my computer is taking long to discover files, but allow me to do it manually. So I come to web, then router, and I'm going to just add here in the browser a scope. Let's say this is going to be products. The router will be coming from product. I can even say product catalog. The catalog. So I'm going to have a live view. When it's new, we'll call form live. When we are editing, we call the same form. And when it is listing, I'm going to just use index live. Now we come here under web, we create product catalog folder, and we're going to have form live.tx, and here under form live we use a typical live view page, which is this one, and then we are going to create a corresponding hex file. Sorry, there is an error here. So I'm going to say you are in the product form page. So that's it. So let's see if we are actually able to load this page. Now if I come here and do product catalog and do new, you see it is displaying here. It is telling me you are in the product form page. So let me apply our default layout, which should be sitting in ENC web layouts app. This is going to generate an error in a moment, which we'll fix. So if I do this, it's going to complain about flash. So we're going to pass, because this one expect flash. So we're passing flash from assigned, but this is now our page. See, yeah, now this is now our page. Alright, so we do have the form now. Now second, let us create a second page. Now we can copy what we've done here and now create index. Oh, sorry. Should be here. Index html.tx. Then say, actually we can even beautify this. Let me use existing components to make it better. Wow. Okay. Subtitle. Remember, all these components they come for free they're given to us for free by Phoenix. So, browse. So now if I come here and say product catalog, you see now this is what I'm getting. Okay, good. So let's add a button here that takes us to the create a new product page. So I want it to be at the right side of this text, and I'm going to use Tailwind CSS, and I will say this will be justified between, and put this in a span, and this one is span. Then I'm going to add, I don't know why my tab isn't working, just a moment. Let's see. Text, because I prefer using it, because if you want your application to be translated into multiple languages, this becomes easier for you to localize your application from English to French to any other language. So I prefer using get text over typing the just plain text when I'm displaying the text on the screen. So this button will be taking us to the page we called Product Catalog New. So let's see how it looks like. Now we have this. Let me add a bit of style to make it look like a button like this one. We can add a style because we are using Daisy button. See how this looks like. I can leave it like this. I think this is enough for now. So allow me to format my code. Good. So far so good. So now if I click here, it takes me to this page. Now let me do the same on that page. Then we add the form quickly so you can see how this works. So product form. Now we move this link to here, and then we use arrow back like this. See how it looks like? This is not. See. There should be arrow left, not back. Yeah. And then this should take us to product catalog. So when I click here, it takes me here. When I click here, it comes here. etc. So only that here we're just going to change the text and say fill the form and submit. Yeah. So that's it. So far so good. Okay. So I'll continue. Now let me split my screen. So on this page, I'm going to now add the form. And for us to add the form, I'll come to this product category, the form live for product catalog. And then I'm going to implement a Phoenix live view callback function, which is now a mount function. It receives parameters, session and socket. Okay. And it returns an OK tuple. So we need a socket. We need to assign the form to this socket. Okay. Now then we define assign form which accepts this socket. So what we're going to do here is to tell Ash, or rather live view here, that the form is going to be the form for our product resource, this one, and the form is going to be for the action of create. So how do we do it? We do pass the resource. We can bring it in up here as an alias, but for now I'll just do it this way. Then you use AshPhoenix package you've installed, then set form, and this is for create, and the function is create. For create here we are indicating the type of the action and the actual action name, and then we convert it into a typical form, and we add this to our live view assigns, then form override. Yeah, so that's it. Like now we do have a form we can work with. So if I come here and I say we have a form, and this form will be for form, and let's add inputs. The first input here is going to be for the field we call the name, remember in our resource, and the label here we can say it's going to be product name. Then allow me to do this for quantity as well. Say quantity, and price, we say price. Then we're going to add our button for submit. Be a primary button. So if I refresh here, so apologies, I need to find out why. Yeah. Let me see. So there's a space I put in here that shouldn't be there. It says it a space, a button, then button. It's not a space, it's just the tag which I didn't close. So you can see we have our form ready. But now if I fill in here information and submit, it will give me an error because this is posting instead of submitting to our live view. So we have to add the live view event and say if somebody submits, it will save, and if the form changes, it will trigger validation automatically. Now I'll go to my live view and then implement these two functions. Live view, then we handle this event. Handle event when someone validates, because we are receiving parameters in forms and the socket, and this is now the beauty, like what I like about Ash. So for us to validate this form, we have to call AshPhoenix form validate, then we pass the form that is in our sockets, in our assigned, sorry. Then from here we just pass this parameter, and that's it. What we do is we return a no reply tuple, and what we do, then we assign sockets, form, and form. Like, this is what you need to do to validate your form, no matter how big your form is. And the rest of rules and validations are done on the resource level. But let's have an example, because we have said here this cannot be empty. So if I type, it's not, you see the validation is working. You can even add more validation if time allows us. I will show you. And let me now add now for saving to the database. So for saving to the database is the same thing. Now we are saying save, take form, and now for the database you can say case do, say Ash the form that is in our assigns, which is this form, and the parameters we are passing is this parameter here. Now, if everything goes okay, it is going to return the OK tuple with the product as now they set the product. So it will be a no, will return a no reply. Then we can add, say, socket. Let's say we put a flash. So this flash will be for info, and then from here we say your product. Then we put the product name saved or submitted, and then of course we do product name. Then we can redirect to our, remember, product catalog. That's it. And then let us add actually now what happens when you submit and there is an error. So normally it returns error under that form, and you can change this into error. Then you say we could not submit your, or could not save your product. Let me just use saved here, and then we, instead of going to the previous page, we can then put in our assigns the form that has an error. Okay, so if I do, for example, sorry, this shouldn't be here. Yeah. So if we do, for example, submit, you see it is telling me, let me, how do I put this? Yeah. So if I do this, you see it is telling me we could not save. But if I put, let's Coca-Cola, 10, price 120, see, the product has been saved. So you can come and add more product, and that's it. Now let's see how do we list these products here using Cinder. Now I'm going to have to install Cinder, Igniter. I'm using Igniter, Cinder. See, hope it is going to be faster. Okay, so Cinder is another package for Ash. So I'm saying yes, it's going to install. Writing Cinder. Yes, I'm saying Cinder is going to use a Daisy UI as the default theme. That's it, we are done. So allow me to reload this because we changed the configuration. Okay, great. So now back to codes. Now you're going to realize for the index we don't have anything here. I've done it on purpose. Everything we're going to do is from the HTML. Let us add our page, our table. Cinder table. If you are familiar with the table component that comes by default with the Phoenix, this should be just a no-brainer. Cinder table. And then this table is going to work with what? The resource it is going to work with. Resource in name, and let me bring it so I avoid typing. This is the resource it is going to work with, and that's it. So no, it's not that. Let me add the column. So the column, and then the row, and then this row will give it a label of let's say we start with the product name, and then call in this slot, and then we say the product name here is going to be row.name. So if I come here to our page, you see we have our product listed here. So I can add, now we have quantity, and we have price, Our table is ready. Now let's say, mind you, we can also customize this. Let's say if we want to filter the types of record, we replace this with the query and then we pass the ash query, but that's out of scope today. So if we want to, let's say, add pagination, we'll say page size and say 1. When you do this, it's automatically added for you. This is going to be 1 by page, see? And then let's say we say every time when you click on a row in the table, click, what will happen? So we can go to this specific product. Now what you're going to see is how to edit a product using existing form. So when the user clicks on this, we'll use live view to navigate to product catalog. Then we pass the row ID. So now when you do hover, you see my cursor, and when I press here, you see where it is taking us. Okay, and here I'm being told this page doesn't exist because of the way we defined it in product catalog here. So allow me to come back. So in the router, so this is going to be a parameter, and for me to make it a parameter, I just need to add this. I need to add this to prefix it with this. So now it is loading, but the problem, it is not fetching information from the database to populate in this table. So let us fix this. Now under our form, because now this is the form that is responding to that page. This doesn't seem to be well formatted. I don't know why. Okay. So let's say when you load this page, we check in the parameter product ID, and this is going to be ID, and that's it. We first load the product ID. Now we're going to do pattern matching on the assign. We're going to say if the assigns the product ID has a null value, then load the form for create. But if it doesn't have a null value, now we have ID here. What we should do, we'll take this, then we say get. This is another way of fetching a record in Ash using its ID. And now instead of for create, we use for update. And remember, we have an action code for update, and then it is going to be done this way. So what you are saying is if there is no product ID, we assume you want to create, then give a form, present a form for new product. If the product ID exists, we assume we want to edit an existing product. And here we are adding this exclamation mark so that if the product doesn't exist, this form will fail. And then we'll use the update form, and that's it. So with this code we just did, our form is ready for edit. Can we say so that 2, 3, then I save, you see it has now come here, so that 2, 3. And let me go to index, so I can say the page here, let's say to have 10 product, so we'll remove automatically this. Okay. Now let's say we want to be sorting this table by the column name. So what you have to do is to come here on the column you want to sort, and you add this thing called sort. So this parameter called sort. Let's see if it should work. Yeah, so I need to specify the field name. So the field we'll be sorting on is called field. So you can see we already have same for quantity. You can just do the same for quantity. So here it will be quantity, and this one will be price if you want to sort. See, now we have these icons for sorting. Now let's say you want to add the option now for searching the product name. So you can do filter. If you want user to filter, to pass this parameter to filter, you see automatically you can filter by Coca-Cola or soda. So you can also add search. It has so many other features which you can find online. So where we are, you can edit an existing product. You can create a new product, and you can search, you can do all manner of things as you like. So far so good. Is there any question so far before I show us something different which is more on your code organization?
Do anyone have a question? You can state your question or just write it in the chat. But I think overall it's been a very interesting talk. So thank you.
Are we still together?
Yeah, Kamaro, I think you have muted me somehow because you're unable to hear me.
Yes, I just
Okay, great. So now you have an idea of what is a resource and how it works. Because of time, I'm not sure if I'll show you how relationship works, but it's easier. It's easy. I wanted to show you now just something I find very useful if you are working on large applications, on how you can fragment your resource into small parts. Because your resource can be so big with hundreds of or thousands of hundreds of lines. So when you are working on application, please confirm if my screen is big enough or if I should zoom in. Is it visible now? Is it okay?
I can't see your screen. Can anyone see his screen? The stream has ended. Can you start the stream again?
Okay, good. So should I proceed?
No, so I can't see your screen since the stream has ended.
Oh, okay. So let me try again to maximize. And share again. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yeah, it's not coming up.
Okay, good. Thanks. So Ash is built on another, what I say, framework or library called Spark. And you can reorganize your code to make it easier for you to maintain, removing every section here in its own file. For example, let's have another section for let us create a file only to contain the attributes or the columns for this resource. So I'm going to put it under product folder. I'll use product folder so it becomes easier for me to know this file belongs to what resource or what product or what module. So I'll call them attributes, and then I'm going to say this module is going to be a Spark, a DSL domain specific language, and it's going to be a fragment of Ash resource. So what I can do is I'll take everything here in attributes, then move it here, this file. Then I'll come back to my resource and say this resource has fragments. It has smaller parts. And one of the fragments it has is this one. That's it. So your application will still work as as normal. You won't even tell the difference. You can do the same for actions. I say they use DSL no Spark, DSL fragment of an Ash resource, and that's it. Now going to come back to our product. We have attributes and we do have actions now. So you can add the relationship, you can add a lot more. Okay, so let me show you something in an application that is in production. So see what I mean. So in this application, let's say members. Just a moment. I can even use this as an example. You see things like authorization and multi-tenancy. These are things that I will need in every resource or every line in my application. So instead of having to redo it in every place, what I do is I can define that as a fragment, and then that fragment will be included in all my resources from a centralized place. So if you come here like for this global resource, let me just go to it now. You can find, sorry, let me go back here just to show you how this is very useful. Like in global policy, you see this is where I defined all policies that authorizes anything that happens in the application. So you can use fragments to do that. The same way the extensions, probably in the future we'll be able to talk more about extensions and the rest. So when you are working on large applications, I highly recommend that you consider extracting different configurations file into their own file. So if you want to edit attributes, you just go to this specific file, you change the attributes. If you want to deal with the calculations, you do that in this specific file. So yeah, so that's it. I think we were able to see, just to have a taste of how Ash works and how it pairs with the Ash framework and how it can save you time. And the benefits of this are even like when your application starts to change and you need to do a lot of modification. Let's say you need to add a validation rule. You don't have to come and do it in your form. You can come and just do it here in the action, or you add in your resource, you add a section for validation, etc. So in the future talks, we'll have more time now to show you even better, like more benefits of Ash. Today it was more of getting us started. All right, thanks. Just give me a moment. You should be able to see my screen and see if there is anything else. So you've seen that in resources, everything revolves around a resource, and things like plugging in APIs, Ash GraphQL. These are extensions. You just add one line and your resource becomes an API automatically. The policies, we didn't see it, extension, Ash admin, and there are more other things we can do with Ash. So in a nutshell, that's it. I would like to open the floor for questions or clarifications. Thank you.
Okay, a quick question, right? Good job for a job well done. Out of curiosity, right? When you listed all the fragments I saw that when you were adding the fragment for action, you added it on top of the result. Just obey the sorting order, or is there any option for that?
Yeah, so for me, fragments first is a mode of architecture and how you organize your code. Because your application can grow faster, and you want to stay with a single responsibility principle. You want to know if its attributes, I'm going to find a file called attributes under this particular resource, and that's what I'm going to deal with. So this depends on what you want to do. If it is a very small application, maybe you don't have to fragment it, to fragment your resource. But what I've seen, when a resource goes up to 50 lines of code, 100 lines of code, can become very complex to maintain. So the complexity in the maintaining is if you want to add a column, don't want to go and scroll and start reading the lines for calculations, actions, relationships, policies, validations. No, what you want is just to go and add a column in your application, and that's it. You forget the rest. So fragments allows you to do those kind of work with the precision without risking you and touching something you shouldn't touch, or taking time to read through your code. There is another benefit of using fragments. I was actually talking to Zach, the creator of Ash Framework. I think there's a post we were discussing this on. When you use fragments, your application tends to compile faster. I don't know the science behind, but it's something I've experienced. Like if you have hundreds of resources in your application and you use fragments, they compile faster than having one file which is with 1,000 lines of code. So I think that's what I would comment on this. I don't know if I answered your question.
Not quite. So what I was making reference to.
Sorry, I lost you. Sorry, Sam, you are breaking.
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, so I was making reference to the point where you have a list of fragments, right? So there was actions listed first before attributes. So I was asking, is it just obeying certain order, or is there any reason why actions came first before attributes?
No. There's no order. Remember, it's just a configuration file. There's no order. You can start with your action. What I've seen is when you have a Elixir formatter and you format your code, there's a way it arranges your code, I think, alphabetically. So that's what has stuck in my mind. Like, actions will come before attributes, but there's no order. You can start with Postgres at the top of validation, etc. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we do have like about 2 minutes for any question. If you have a demand, if there's a request you'd like me to come back and showcase a particular feature, or we do more work in Ash, I'll be happy to come and present more.
Hello?
Hi.
Sorry, when you were talking, there was a bit of echo, but I think I caught when you said when you do fragments. I didn't get that part. Did you say your code compiles slower or faster? I didn't really get the statement around that part. Do you mind repeating yourself?
Yeah. Let me share something. So when I wrote about this, let me share my screen. You able to see my screen?
It's loading.
Okay, let me know when you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it now.
So this is an article I wrote last year. It was showing how a big resource can be fragmented into a tiny resource. So there was a comment from let me show you on Twitter by the creator of Ash resource, the Ash framework. Apologies for that. So this is what he said. Let me zoom in. They say that honestly, we can probably optimize the way the compile time benefits in the future. It likely stems from parallel compilation of the fragments, and each fragment doesn't need to be compiled when one of the other fragments change. So here, the question was, what is behind the first compilation when you use fragments? So this was the official response from Ash framework. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, so when you say fragments, you mean splitting resources into different files, or?
Yeah. I can give you some samples of some resources I worked on that are big. Actually, let me share again a real life example. Let me see. Loan, do I have anything? Okay. Let me show you a resource that deals with loan, for example. An application that is in production. Or do I zoom in here again? Okay. I will stop and then reshare again. Let me know when you can see my screen.
All right, it's loading. Okay, I can see it now.
Right. So this is a resource for a loan. And you can see it has actions, attributes, aggregates. Aggregates in Ash are things like, let me open and give you an examples so you get to see what they are. Where is resource preparations? So this is your typical you can see it has some extension. This first extension, it adds paper trail. So anything that happens to this loan, I know I can track only the changes, what action was called, and who is the user who performed this action. So I can do a proper audit and be able to produce a report and tell you this record in the database, this is how it changed. So this is just the file with how many it has. Now it has actions. Now in these actions, which are, let me show you, under loan now, see the way it is organized, we have actions. You see the action it has, actions only, they go up to 500 and let's say 600 lines. These are actions only. So it has things such as getting loan history, getting monthly loan, check most active loans. Some of these actions, you can see they are custom actions, which are modules with custom business rules. If you come here in the actions, going to see the business rule of each action here. I've defined it under a specific module. Like this is a module for calculating interest rate. And then you do some computation. So I try to make my code atomic, like one module to do one thing. And when now it becomes big, it's better, I found it to be better to fragment it into this. Like for example, let me show you for validation. If tomorrow they come and say, well, I want to do what? Let me show you one of the actions here with validations. Like when you are creating a loan, you add guarantors, then we have this custom validation. Check if they have exceeded the maximum, if they have done the proper GL entries. And then you have to notify guarantors, and this one goes on and goes on. So what I will do, if they want me to add a different validation or remove one, instead of going to the form to change, I will come here and define a new role, and that's it. I just do it here. Now the next interaction, whether it comes from an API, whether it comes from a web interface or mobile app, the same rule are going to be applied because it's centralized. So whether it's changes, in the future we'll talk about changes, you do it from a centralized place. You can see if you take all of this, you put them into a single file, it can be very hectic. Even some repetition. What else can I show you? Like if you are filtering on your queries, I have here what we call preparation. Maybe in the future I'm going to see them. And you want to say, if I apply a filter by current here, I don't want to go and repeat every time. Using fragments and also preparations, you can do things like this one. You define it in one place and you know it's done. So they can come and say, you know what, our financial year ends by different date, and then, or it has a different time it starts or end. And you do it from a single place. So fragments are very useful to help your code become easier to manage.
Modular.
And also, yeah, modular, yes.
So from what you just said now, from what you just said, I think it's obvious why the compile time will be faster. Because if you put everything in a gigantic module, there is a very tight coupling between things. So changing one module is going to like trigger what is not supposed to compile, thereby increasing the compile time. But from what you showed me now, everything is doing one particular thing. So when there is a change, only the modules that need to change compiles, thereby leading to total Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much. I'll look more into this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Right, thanks. I think that's it for me. If you are interested in learning more about Ash, you can definitely reach out to me. I've written a book with a lot of more than what we discussed today, where you can dive deep up to the level of even deploying and automate your deployment to the server. So you write your code on your local machine and then you push to deploy. So you can just reach out to me. I can actually talk to the organizer of today's show and talk and share a coupon in case you'd like to dive deep on Ash Framework. But thanks for having me. I think this was a good session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Can anyone hear me?
Thanks, Sam. Okay, back to you, Benny.
Oh, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, IJ.
Okay, I think Kamaro, you have muted me somehow. I think you can unmute me. If you can't hear me, Kamaro, please unmute me. I don't know.
Back to you, Benny.
Please, can someone just help me to tell him he has muted me? Because
She said she can't hear you if you muted her or something.
yeah, he can't hear me because he has muted me from
she
his
can
side.
take it over from here.
Okay. So thank
She's
you.
trying to talk to. Can you hear her now?
No.
I think he has muted me on his end. So if he unmutes me, you'll be able to hear me. Okay. So thank you so much for joining the call. Thank you so much. I will just send him a message.
Microphone is muted. I can see it from my end.
She's saying that you muted her from your own end. So if you're muted,
yeah.
That's the trick.
Sorry for that.
Okay, no problem. So
Sorry
can
for
you
that. Now, let me see. How do I do it? Open voice. Okay. So how do I do it?
I think you just have to go through my name and unmute. That's all. I think so.
Okay.
So if you click on the three dots beside name on the bottom right corner of her name,
yeah. Thanks for that.
Okay.
You should be able to.
So can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you very much. This was an interesting call, and thank you for your time and consideration into taking this. And yeah, would love to have more talk from you about Ash Framework. So I'll be reaching out to you on that regard, if that's okay with you. So we can just have further discussion on that.
No problem at all. That's okay with me.
Thank you once again, and thank you all for joining the call. I know that most of our meeting is on Saturday, but for this call, Kamaro picked Wednesday, and I don't have the heart to tell him to reschedule because I know how hectic his schedule is. I think this call has been like on hold. I've been having like a back and forth conversation with him about the stock, so I'm so glad it was able to hold and it was successful from my end, and based on all the questions that I see us asking, I believe like this was a successful call. So thank you for